What's up guys, it's Roope here, and today we're talking about Fractal Audio Axefx III and 80s inspired guitar tones. Stay with me. Before we jump into this preset you just heard, let's go through the signal chain. I'm having this James Tyler Japan-made Studio Elite HDP guitar with mid boost on it, and from the guitar we hit into the Fractal Audio Axe-Fx III, and there to the Warm Audio WA-73 Neve style preamp, and there in the Logic through Universal Audio Apollo X8P. Alright guys, let's jump into this preset. I want to give you a quick note before we getting any further that I'm running with this quite old firmware. It's 15.01, and reason is that I have done all my preset in this firmware and I tried to update the newer firmware, and a lot of things didn't sound the same. That's why I'm keeping this old firmware, because I have tons of presets which needs to be fixed. Basically what my presets always has, if we are talking about this kind of basic presets which includes all and everything. The scene number 1 is always a clean tone for me. Scene number 2 is like a edge of breakup tones. It still has a clean amp but some overdrive distortion pedals before the amp. Scene number 3 is my kind of high gain scene. I always have there a Friedman HPE or Soldano type of amplifier there. And scene number 4 is my Marshall scene, where is the plexi old school rock and roll type of sound there. Let's start with the clean sound, the 80s clean sound, and how it's done. First thing the signal hits in this digital world is the amplifier block. I use Dumble ODS 100 clean channel, and after that I have a studio type of compressor. And what is great and what I like to do always, put the compressor after the amplifier. So if you put a distortion or overdrive pedal before the amp or take some overdrive tones from the amp, you don't actually increase the gain, you just compress it. So the distortion sound is still kind of a dynamic when it comes how much it distorts, but the compressor is doing the compression after the distortion. That's why it's here, and 80s guys did this as well. After the compressor, signal splits, as you can see here. Part of the signal is going through the gap, and part of the signal is passing the gap. Here is the first secret how to achieve that kind of 80s chiminess to the clean sound. It's mixing part of the DI signal into it. There's also another compressor. I wanted to compress the DI sound as well, so I can mix it with my gap. It's just a subtle effect. It's not doing much, but it's the highest top end and the sparkle in the sound, and it sounds like this. and without it. And with it. As you can hear, it brings the nice top end to the sound, and gap is the bottom end of the sound. So it's a nice blend. After the gap there is a gate block. I'm not using it on a clean sounds, but I like to have a gate in some dirtier stuff or high gain stuff to just keeping the signal clean. I always want to put the gate block after the amp or gap block here in modeler world. If you put the gate block before first in a signal chain, then the volume pot is not working like I want it to work. I use a lot of volume pot in my playing and get tones from there, so it's not always full on. After the gate there is a stereo widening block, but let's talk about that later. Then we hit in the volume block, and this block has two functions what I use. First, I have assigned an expression pedal in this parameter, and it's working just like volume pedal. I can do swells, I can control the overall volume, and also I can change the channel of this block, and the B channel is my kind of a lead boost. Get some parts a little bit louder and just increase the overall volume. And then the fun part begins, how this sounds coming together. As I already told you, part of the sound is the DI signal, which is blended over here. And after the volume block, we hit in the chorus block. The 80s guys had a 3 chorus, and Axefx is doing it as well. And also many other modelers has this 3 chorus emulation. Let's engage this 3 chorus and hear how it sounds. I have found that these 3 knobs needs to be where it is, and what I'm doing is I'm just controlling the rate time, how much the swirl I want to the sound. After the chorus, signal splits again, and part of the signal is going through, and this one is considered as a dry signal in a wet dry wet world. Of course, if the chorus is on, the dry signal carries also the chorus sound as well. Part of the signal is going to the pitch block, where I have dual detune effect. My detune setting is always -9 cents, +9 cents, and the panning is full left, full right. And also the right side is having a 10 millisecond delay, so it's kind of widening the sound more. And with the detune and chorus engaged, it sounds like this. And without the detune again. And with the detune. It's kind of widening the sound. And with the detune, I can play some muted part. It sounds like a doubling effect. And here we go. All right, then we have this kind of parallel stuff for time-based effects, delays, reverbs. What I mainly have always on is a reverb, and you can see my settings here, and it always stays the same. What I'm controlling is this input gain, and you can consider it as a mix knob. There is also a mix knob, but I tend to use this way, like the old track effects, where they're controlling how much effect they have on their input gain knob. I don't know if this effect to the sound, for me it sounds good, and this is the way I do it. And also notice every time-based effect, the bypass mode is mute in, so it doesn't cut the ends and tails spill over. In this clean scene, I sometimes use the Plex delay together with the reverb, and it's like a particle reverb or something between the delay and reverb. And let's hear how the Plex delay sounds with the reverb. It adds some little bit tiny sparkle top of the reverb, and let's hear it again. First with it. Almost like a synthesizer stuff. Yeah, and without it. And with it. And also I have two delay blocks here, you can see. And first we have classic TC2290 emulation. The settings are pretty simple. And what I've done here is the phase reverse on the right side. So the delay is super wide. And lastly, we have dual delay, and here you can see my settings. This always stays the same, 460 millisecond on the left side and 600 on the right side. And this is something which gives a nice layer if you are playing like open chords, not the rhythmical stuff, but it's just bouncing that sound over the stereo image. Okay, and now we have moved to the scene number 4, which is my Marshall style of preset. There is a tri-pedal tube screamer, front of the amp, dead simple, the Marshall Plexi. Here's my settings, what I've done. There's also a gate on in this scene, and here's the stereo widening block. I use the modern type. What is cool about this, you have a low cut and high cut there, and the width is you can consider as the high frequencies, and the depth is as the lower frequencies. So I want to put the highs as much wide as I can, and the depth, the bottom end and the low end, more center positioned. Let's hear how this block sounds. So first without it. And with it. And what also we have here is the multi-compressor, which is not doing much. If I play open chord, it's not doing anything, as you can see. And when I start damping, you can see it notches a few dB from the bottom end of the guitar. So that's why I can keep the full size sound without cutting the bottom end and this compressor cuts it when it's over the threshold point. This is a nice feature in Fractal products, but if you are using FM3 or FM9, this eats a lot DSP power from your device, so this is kind of an extra thing for me. So that's about it, and let's turn the pitch shifting on. It's doing the widening stuff, so we don't need the enhance block. And let's put some delay and hear how it sounds. Maybe we should put the enhance on also. When I'm doing leads, always like to blend two type of delays. This 2290 is more tempo orientated, and the dual delay is always stays the same. But these two delays together actually sounds pretty good. And what is great, because these all three effects are in parallel, they don't kind of see each other, so it's not messes the sound, it still stays quite clear. And it's how you do the 80s style of sound, and hope this was helpful. Thanks for watching, and if you have any questions, you can comment it down there, and I'll see you on the next one. Ciao.